going here. And we are ready. This episode of Lords of the Storm is brought to you by our sponsors over at Patreon, where you, yes you, can also support the show. Just head over to patreon.com/Lords of the Storm to become a patron today.
Heroes, gather tribute and earn my favor. What do you say? Are you ready to begin?
What's up, everyone? My name is Greg Gizmozord Parker, and you're listening to Lords of the Storm, episode 163, the weekly Heroes of the Storm podcast for you, the true heroes of the storm. I'm joined tonight, of course, by the Zord Lords themselves, Mr. Kevin Multizord Ellis and Ryan TBK Zord Reader. And on this week's episode, Deckard Cain hits the live servers and puts the queues to sleep. But the home screen update makes its return. Playoffs for the midseason brawl are here, and we get back to some listener questions. But first, let's see how the other guys are doing tonight. Kevin, Multi, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Although, it's good to see Deckard slowing down the queue, at least for himself. Like, just to have a support that's actually slowing down the queues and has a high estimated wait time, that's a good thing. That just means there's a lot of supports out there. That's
a good point.
It's a good time to be quick matching.
Excellent.
That is true.
TBK, how are you doing?
I am doing wonderfully. I completely agree with Multi. That's a nice thing about new supports coming out is that you're always going to have a support in your quick match game. And that's something that's just nice to know until they change the queue to actually, require the support.
Super excited for that change, by the way.
Yeah, very excited.
Super excited.
Mm-hmm. I also think we should mention, Multi, that it is somebody's birthday today.
Oh, I feel like we should mention that as well.
I feel like we should. Happy birthday to our very own Megazord, Gizmozord, Host Zord.
I get to be the Megazord today.
Yes.
Just today.
Thank you. Just one day.
Did you see the GIF I gave you?
I did.
It had it was a Megazord walking through. There was explosions and stuff, but I was going to try and clarify and say those are like birthday explosions.
Did you say GIF or gift?
Both.
Oh.
It was a gift. But yes, it is. I'm getting old, guys. It's 28. 28, 2 years away from 30.
That's ancient, let me tell you.
But yeah, it's been a fun day. Thank you to everyone who's reached out on social media, text messages, all that stuff. It's been a crazy 5 days for me. I'm exhausted. I feel like I've had no time for anything. And it was nice to be able to kind of take a break out when I got home from work and see that stuff. So thank you very, very much.
I actually didn't say anything to you on social
media.
You
just responded to everyone
for this moment. Happy birthday.
Look at that. Yeah. Classy. Super classy.
I noticed you liking everyone else's stuff, so I thought that was your little troll way of saying it without saying it.
You're right. I should have just left it unsaid. Good point.
I appreciated that as well. But yes, it's been fun. So what have you all been up to in gaming this week? I imagine we got some Cain in, perhaps, going, TBK?
Yes. Much Deckard Cain. And I was super happy because I got MVP, my very first game.
I saw that.
Deckard game on live. So that made me super happy. I love him.
I love him too.
Absolutely love him.
Mm-hmm.
I just... so good. It's so fun. And I'm not going to lie, opened up the game before I did anything, before I even bought Deckard, I dropped 1,600 shards on the Deckard voice announcer pack.
Yes.
And how is it?
It's amazing.
Is it funny? Are there little quippy lines and stuff, or is it
I mean, I haven't gotten to use it enough yet, but
Good point.
It's just very like, it's very soothing. It's like my grandfather is sitting next to me and helping me play the game.
Yeah,
Okay,
not
I
bad.
get it.
And then some people might not find that soothing. I guess it depends on how nice your grandpa is, but
I wouldn't find it soothing. I mean, I liked my grandpas, but they're both super dead, so it would creep me out if they were sitting next to me, coaching me through my games.
I feel you there.
that went
I feel you
dark
there.
fast.
Sure did. Anyway,
Almost as dark as the voice lines apparently Deckard Cain says to the Leia
Primal Diablo.
Diablo.
oh yeah. Well, not just that. Like Deckard is just so sad. Like every time he comes back from his death, not every time, but one of his lines is just like, "I swear I saw Leia." Like he's seeing her from beyond the grave and mourning her loss and stuff. Like I did not expect him to just be so sad, and so that's why you got to rock the sad cloud with him. It just fits.
I used the Angry Cloud, but that's just because it went with the skin tint I was using, so I don't know.
Oh,
mean,
you're using that reddish one.
I
Well-
used the surfboard. It looks so funny.
Oh my gosh,
You use
give me
what
an
now, the
idea.
surfboard.
That gave me an idea.
Surfboard.
We
That's
need
good.
a oh my gosh, what's the guy's name from Dragon Ball Z? The old dude with the beard lives on the island. Kami? Did neither of you watch Dragon Ball Z?
I don't.
Oh my
I have
gosh, chat. There's
Bring
somebody
Chat
help
up,
me
yeah.
out. Old guy with the Hawaiian shirt, glasses, lived on the beach. We need that skin for Deckard Cain because it goes perfect with the surfboard. But
Oh, there could be like a summertime Deckard Cain thing.
Fun in the sun. Fun in the sun. Deckard Cain.
Roshi, that's it.
Roshi.
Yes, Roshi. Google it. You'll know what I'm talking about. You'll agree with me. You'll want the skin. But we'll get into Deckard a little bit deeper here in our discussion. Multi, what have you been up to this week?
So I had a different experience. I did not get MVP my first game. In fact, I got crushed my first game, like 8 or 9 deaths. I don't even know. It turns out you don't really want to step out of line with him too much, even though he's melee. But hey, I had to try out that stun on auto attack talent, right? But anyway, no, second game though, MVP. It's like there's a 1 game learning curve on this guy.
Well,
But,
I haven't gotten MVP yet. I'm just bad, I guess.
It's okay. No, it's interesting. Yeah, I know we'll talk about him some more later, but he is fun for sure. I had wanted to buy him with gold, and I'm just still barely. I don't have enough. Like I think I only have 500 left, but I looked and I saw they had some BattleNet balance, just like $10 sitting on there from probably some other purchase from before. So I kind of thought, at least I'll have the gold for the next hero. So I just, gemsed it out.
Cool. Excellent. Myself, like I mentioned at the top, I've been super busy lately, but I have been able to get a few Heroes games in the last couple days, a few on the old Cain train, and played a few matches with Kyle Ferguson on his stream yesterday. He was doing a cool stream where they were running themed compositions that were all fantastically named. Like one of them was Angels in the Off Lane. It was Angel, so it was Tyrael, Ariel, Malthael, Deckard Cain, and Vala with her angelic skin.
Oh, sure.
So they weren't necessarily the best compositions, and we lost all of them. Some of them we were winning, and we just threw away. But
That
it was
one's
a fun
not a
stream.
terrible comp. It
Tyrael's
kinda works.
hard to solo tank with.
Yeah, I believe that.
But yeah, it was a really fun time. So let's go ahead, start getting into the stuffs here. We do have a Patron update this week. So Alex E from last week, we have his Zord title, and it came with this really weird decrypt message I received. And he is going to be known first off. I guess we got to play this first, so. You have been deemed worthy of bearing the Zord title. Welcome to the Zord Lords. So, anti-Zord. Welcome to the Zord Lords. And then this is the message that came along with it.
Foolish Zord Lords who think you can stop me. I will infest the minds of your allies and make them toxic and unhelpful. They will brawl endlessly in mid for no reason and take camps instead of ending.
What? Oh, hey, boss. They already do that.
What's that? They already do that?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Well, what about taking boss with me holding me team is up?
That's already a thing too. Yeah, that's a thing.
Really? Huh. I mean, my power is so great that I already infested your allies. Truly, you are doomed by my hand in not matchmaking RNG. Watch yourselves, Zord Lords. You have not heard the last from the almighty Anti-Zord.
So
I don't even know what to say.
So how long
I'm both
ago...
scared and laughing at the same
Oh, no, I'm
time.
terrified. But how long ago did he infest them? Because, like, I've been having this problem the entire time I've played the game.
yeah, I know, right? So who knows? And I'm confused. You know, he's the anti-Zord. Obviously, he's
Right.
against us, yet
Mm-hmm.
he's supporting us on Patreon. So I guess I'm okay with it.
I've never really heard of a villainous patron before, but I like it. It's a good flavor.
Yeah.
I think my biggest takeaway from that is I really want to know what his little minion looked like.
Oh, yeah. I pictured some kind of, like, little sprite of some kind.
Yeah.
Or, like, woodland creature. maybe?
Like
I don't know.
that's like terrifying but cute. It's like terrifyingly cute.
That's
Okay.
all woodland creatures. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Brightwing?
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
Like Monkey
Or
Brightwing.
like a wood nymph or something.
Maybe like a little imp.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
A cute imp.
Mm-hmm.
We're onto something.
I could see
Yeah.
it. But I mean, I guess thank you, Anti-Zord,
Yes.
for the support. We appreciate it. And, you know, thanks again to all of our patrons for all the support that you guys do. So, yeah. Now moving on with mixed feelings. we go we go to the news. All right. First up, the obvious, Deckard Cain and his patch have gone live. And yeah, a few good things in here. First off, we've already talked about a little bit. We talked a little last week. We hopped in, tried him out in PTR, but he is live now. So we've gotten a chance to play him. So what our thoughts are. And Multi, I'll start with you. How are you liking him? You do play a lot of support. Where's he stacking up for you?
He's probably not my favorite support to play in terms of kits, but I mean, he's obviously my favorite support in the sense that I've just been looking forward to Deckard Cain being in the game the entire time. It's really interesting because you find yourself in a situation where, like, you want to use the potions as intelligently as you can. And in Quick Match, at least so far, the teammates don't seem to be the most intelligent about walking over them at the right times. So I don't know if you guys have noticed that. Like, someone in the middle of a fight, you throw one down, maybe it's a little off to the side, and they just walk past it. You could have gotten that heal. Whatever, man. I kind of threw it in your direction. And that's kind of my point is, so, like, if you don't set them up and maybe rotate between lanes and that sort of thing, you kind of almost feel like you're playing Ana in a sense. I don't know if you guys got that feel, like when you're just chucking out potions to land on people. And I mean, you know, it's unlike Ana in that if you miss, someone can still go pick it up. But I don't know, like if you're in the middle of a team fight and you're trying to land potions on people, it's kind of got an Ana / Malfurion feel, which is weird because you're setting up that scroll of sealing for the root. Which honestly I think has some similarities to Malf's roots because, again, it's a big area, but it takes some setup time. It's just a different way of setting it up. But so I don't know. I need to play him a lot more for sure to fully get it. But I guess the main takeaway is that bottomless flask at 20 is disgusting. Like the craziest thing I've seen.
Oh, the bottomless?
Yep, bottomless flask. Because I have found already that if you're in the late game and you know you're going to be fighting the enemy team over a point of some kind, and like I had one game on Blackheart's Bay, for instance, and the game had progressed to the point where we could just see that both teams had some doubloons. It might come down to a turn in. Both teams had a keep down and that sort of thing. And so it came down to a big fight right by the Captain Blackheart himself out there in the middle. And I just threw 5 flasks down, and my team kind of like caught on to what was going on and would go and fight, back up, reheal back up, go back in. At one point, the enemy team was starting to fight us on the flasks, and didn't work out for them. That's a lot of healing.
It almost seems like that is just something that if you see the enemy Deckard Cain plop that down with that talent, it's like, all right, we can't take this fight. Just back out.
Yeah. You almost may as well just find something else to do, because there's just too much healing in a space like that.
TBK, what are your thoughts?
I love him so much. He's so fun. It is a little weird when you have Deckard versus Deckard, because even though the scroll of sealing is colored, it gets very confusing on the ground in the middle of chaos, especially when you're not playing Deckard and you have a Deckard and the enemy team has a Deckard, because it's just like there's stuff going on everywhere. There's healing potions everywhere. Some of them are dark, some of them aren't. It's like, oh crap, I can't pick those ones up. Those are the enemy teams. And but that's just a quick match problem, right? I mean, otherwise he is super fun. I think he's got a few good talent builds. I am a little worried that there are a few tiers for him that are a little more like stronger / I would lean toward picking that talent all the time, just because of how strong it is. For example, like the Herodic Cube talent that lowers the enemy damage when they get hit. I don't know why I would not pick that. It's just so incredibly strong, and Herodic Cube's got a huge range and a decent AoE. But I mean, other than that, both of his ultimates are super fun. I've found use for both Stay a While and Listen and Lornado. I think Stay a While and Listen is going to be really powerful for teams that are coordinated. For like the quick match fest, or when I'm not in voice chat, I've gotten a lot more mileage out of Lornado, because it does have a really low cooldown, which is great because it allows it to compete with that huge amount of CC you potentially can get with the other thing. And you can kind of aim it as well and direct the drop point. So that's pretty awesome too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My thoughts kind of reflect along the lines of yours, TBK. I love him. I think he's a blast to play. I absolutely agree. It is utter chaos in quick match if you're not playing Deckard Cain, and there are 2 of them. The red doesn't help at all.
And that's just the case now.
Yeah. I feel it so much more with Deckard Cain, because the scroll of sealing's so big, and it goes off. It's a decent cooldown, but it can go off a couple times in a team fight, and like it's such a big thing that you want to get out of that I feel like teams peel away from their own on accident, and then before they realize it and go back in, it can cause some issues. But the potions, I think, are the bigger issues, because it's you can tell, but it's kind of hard to tell. One thing I would like to see them do, and again, this is just a problem for quick match, but I think they should do this anyways, is have a little like hitbox circle under the potions for your team, so that would be an easy way to distinguish, as well as to know, necessarily, maybe you don't want to go walk all the way through the potion and keep going. Maybe you're trying to just pick it up real quick, having like your hitbox and that hitbox kind of know the distance for like a quick turnaround just to pick it up real quick. I think would be another reason to do that. That could help out in Hero League and stuff, but mainly for distinguishing between the two. And it probably won't be a huge problem for much longer, but it's kind of rough. The potions
there could be something there.
The potions are hard to land on people. Like,
that's what I was saying.
When they're moving, it is. I was missing a lot. I was causing people who would have survived if they just kept running to die because they were going back and getting the potions that I threw behind them.
Oh, really? I didn't have that happen.
I've been trying as much as I can to lead people.
I try
in whatever direction they're going, and that's for the most part worked out fairly well.
You not only have to lead them, you have to lead them further than I originally thought. Like I was aiming.
It's not a super fast throw,
but it's not a fast throw. So yeah, you have to throw
man.
it like a body length ahead of them at least. I think.
Mm-hmm.
If they're full on like fleeing the fight or something, you know.
Yeah. So that is hard. Although I don't blame it on me. They shouldn't have gone for the potion. Sorry guys, your own fault. I love Lornado. It's almost impossible to die as Deckard if you have Lornado because it's such a short cooldown, and you can literally just throw that thing down and you can stay in the tornado as you're escaping and throw potions down for yourself, and they can't get to you. And you can heal yourself enough for most spells, unless Chromie can burst you down. But if somebody's chasing you with melee or something, like they're just not going to get you.
Little tip as well, to save you some time. You can also, for those that don't know, you can use your Alt key. If you hold that down and you click an ability, it self-casts. Mm-hmm. You can do that with your potions too.
Oh yeah.
So that you automatically just drink your potions instead of having to aim it on the ground somewhere. You can just be running Alt Q to chug as you run.
Chug as you run. I hadn't even thought about that. That's cool. Good. Yeah.
I haven't really thought about that because my alt is my push to talk. So I've never really used self-casting. I know. It's just a
mouse button on that guy.
It's a hard habit because alt's been my push to talk for like a really long time. And it was never an issue, but now it feels like in every game alt is an important thing.
Dude, it used to be my push to talk for a couple years until I started taking WoW Arena seriously back in Wrath, and I kept fat fingering the Windows key right next to it.
Yeah,
and windowing out in the middle of a 2200 rated
That's
the
game. Worst.
It's the worst. Yeah. And then my healer's sitting there going, "Dude, you should have death gripped him or something." It's like, yeah, I know. Sorry, technical issues.
The other feedback I have on him, I do love him, but in team fights, he kind of feels like you're just spamming Q. The cooldowns on his other two abilities are fairly long, even with your trait, and his auto attack, like they're just not a thing, non-existent.
Yeah, you almost can't even get in there.
Yeah, so, it feels like you have initial really impact, but then you're just kind of sitting there. Which I don't know. I don't know if that's a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing, but it's just kind of. I just really wish he had, even if it was like a weak ranged auto attack, but I know it doesn't really make sense for him. So I don't know. It was just something I noticed.
Like I said before, they could have done like some tiny little magic bolt or something, but no. I mean, it's interesting that you can get in there and bonk, and that sometimes it really is kind of interesting because if you're in a situation where I had this Diablo that was just on my case an entire game, and he would just come at me and get his abilities off and try to body block me and stuff. But I found that if I was dropping potions on myself, I had taken that talent where you get the stun on auto attacks too. Getting a few of those off, like I couldn't really win a fight against him, but he wasn't going to beat me either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there were some interesting things you could do with the auto attacks in that. But
yeah,
no, I'm otherwise with you. He kind of feels like a weird mix between like Lily and Ana. Ana for the reasons I gave, but Lily again, like it's a big Q spam with potions largely.
Yeah, I mean overall I loved him. Like I played him on Braxis Holdout, which I think he's going to be awesome on because we'd be in bottom lane. You have your solo top. If your top's struggling, or like if you have bottom, you can make sure everyone's healed up pretty well. Throw 5 potions down on the ground, rotate up top. By the time you get up there, probably a couple of those potions have been used, and then throw 2-3 potions down up top for your solo laner to give him that advantage. That's a huge advantage. and then
Yeah, that's
rotate
good.
back down to bottom. And he feels just really good. I like his kit a lot.
He also has, I believe, one of the only talents in the game that allows for a consumable to heal or regain mana.
Yeah.
I don't know of anybody else that has a way to recharge another hero's mana
Malfurion.
Innovate on
besides Malfurion. Yeah. Besides Malfurion.
Yeah.
That's a trait thing. But yeah, but this is an on demand. You could be healing mana up on several people at a time.
What's
on
the
a
percentage?
very
Pretty
short
quick.
cooldown. It's 10 mana.
Do you know? Does it?
And then
It's
per
not much.
potion.
Yeah, that's not bad. I really like his AOE healing too. I don't know
Oh, yeah,
how
that one's
strong
cool.
it's going to end up being, but it feels really good.
His
But-
trait talent?
No, the one where a potion splashes for
Potion
33%.
splashes.
Mm-hmm.
Now the trait talent is bonkers, and
The
I
one where you
love it.
convert auto attacks to healing and
To
stuff.
AOE and healing. Yes.
Yeah.
It's pretty huge, especially if you have a lot of melee,
Mm-hmm.
or they have a lot of melee and they're fighting closely clustered together.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it'll be really neat to kind of see how he breaks out. He does seem really strong right now. I don't think he's Phoenix OP, but
No.
we'll kind of see where he lands and what adjustments are made to him within the next couple weeks. And of course, we will be going into him as Hero of the Week potentially next week. We may, depending on numbers, because our Phoenix thing worked out so well as we predicted he was going to get nerfed, and then he did. If his numbers are crazy, we may hold off another week. I don't know. We'll see. But we will get to him as Hero of the Week. There were some other changes with this patch. Some non-hero stuff. They kind of added back in. So with the target info panel, previously you could hit C and it would pop up your stats in the lower corner. This will now do that again for your own hero. And you can press C again to dismiss it, or you can click on another hero to switch to their information. You can do that to structures and minions as well, but it will now display damage dealt versus heroes rather than just the base damage, so it gives you some more accurate information there, which is really cool and neat. The Warhead Junction boss changes that we discussed last week have gone in. I have not been on Warhead Junction since, so I can't really speak to how
I haven't
those
either.
feel. And then I don't know.
Home screen.
Yes, I'm
Home
trying to
screen.
find where that. Oh, home screen. It's up at the
At the
very
top.
top.
Yeah, top.
Those are back in. We tried coming in. What was it? Last week or the week
Last
before, and
balance
caused
patch.
some bugs.
The Phoenix balance patch.
This has the potential to be really cool. I haven't checked it today to see if they added anything, but
It has Deckard on it.
yeah. So
So
There you
it's
go.
not being used a lot right now, but the potential for it to have some really, really cool stuff is there.
yeah. So
Yeah.
right now, if you click on it, it has Deckard, and then it'll take you to a page, and in the bottom there's a little hexagon, or I guess this one's just kind of a hexagon that you can click on. That will take you to the collections tab where you can purchase him. But what this can be used for is really cool, and we're hoping, of course, for an esports tab that'll take you to stuff, hopefully stuff that is actually it can pull you into directly to the Twitch when they're live. I'm hoping
I
we'll see a
imagine
thing
so.
that's like, not only do we have a Heroes Esports tab all the time up there to where you can go to standings and stuff, but that there will also be like an alert, like a little orange dot or something whenever the HGC is live that you can click and then just go straight to the Twitch chat. Because I think that'll get a lot of new people in there.
Oh, heck yeah. Anything new you can throw in game like that to make front and center, or, have some kind of alert. We could have our own little Overwatch League thingy glowing, but in game.
Yeah.
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 No, yeah,
So-
because
Yeah.
there's some people who just, they play the game. They may have heard it was an esport, but never took the time to seek it out. But just seeing that in game, click a button, go.
Yeah. So potential for a lot of cool stuff there. So keep an eye up there and, see what happens. Heroes, really, the big one here, and we talked last week on it, was Genji. Those changes did go live. I tried getting a game on him in, but then our comp changed and I ended up having to heal, which I got to play Deckard, so I wasn't too upset about it. So I don't know how this stuff has affected him. Again, fighting the movement creep, I guess. And the big thing here, I think, mainly is the Dragon Blade nerf, to where, again, killing an enemy hero who was recently hit by Dragon Blade no longer resets Swift Strike's cooldown, and that was moved to the 20 talent. I think it'll be interesting to see how that impacts his numbers. I don't think either of you really play Genji much. Did either of you try this? Have you noticed anything playing against him in games?
Not so far. I did play against one, but
yeah,
nothing that I've super noticed.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, I think those will overall be good changes, but we will see how that affects him later on. Anything else in the patch? It was kind of a more digestible patch. Good.
I mean, most of it we looked at previously, but it's good to see.
Yeah, not a lot of changes from PTR.
Okay.
Right.
Next up, guys, this is a big one. This is game changing. This is Overwatch, but it has implications. Probably not, but maybe. In Overwatch, Hanzo has lost Scatter Arrow. It's gone.
Wasn't that a little while ago, though?
This is in the PTR right now.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they got rid of his Scatter Arrow, and they're giving him what's it called? Storm Arrows, where it's just you hit it and you get 6 really quick attacks. So the question is, can we take it out of Heroes?
Yeah. Well, I mean, in Heroes it doesn't have the same problem.
Yeah, I know
that it did in Overwatch. Obviously,
it is a really good question, though, right?
But it is,
because all these Overwatch, they've shown that they're not afraid to actually fully change kits in Overwatch. They did that with Symmetra, they did that with Mercy, and now they're doing it with a full ability of Hanzo's. So, but it's just like, does it feel like it needs to have the character integrity to keep them matched up, and it doesn't?
Yeah, I don't think so. And I mean, they're not going to take Diva and put her rockets on her or anything. Although that would be kind of cool.
I could potentially see it being if they ever make some talent tweaks or something down the line, that could become a talent potentially of something.
Oh,
of some sort.
Instead of Scatter Arrow, you get these rapid shots.
Well, just something to alter his auto attack or something, like an activatable ability that does 6 less powerful but quicker consecutive shots for a little bit of burst or something. I don't know, but
I also don't think they're going to take Scatter Arrow out because they came up with that whole new view of the walls to make it work.
Yeah.
So
hey, granted, that still works for Lucio.
Yeah, and I mean, there's going to be other characters down the road that take advantage of it, I'm sure, but yeah. So,
which, by the way, wall riding as Lucio in Overwatch now as easy as wall riding as Lucio in Heroes of the Storm. There's actually some really interesting design stuff, choices they made on the PTR because of that, but we won't get into that because this is a Heroes of the Storm thing. If you can't tell, I'm on a little bit of an Overwatch kick right now. That game has, for some reason, bitten me, and I've been playing a little bit, which is cool.
How's the new thing, the PvE event? I haven't even tried it yet.
It's cool.
I kind of want to.
Yeah, it's neat. Moira.
Man, I hope she comes out in Heroes now, so you get to say her name.
Gosh, that's the first time I've actually struggled on that name. Super OP in it, and I didn't get to play Uprising when it came out last because I wasn't playing, so I got to go back and try that, and it's neat too.
Yeah.
I like that they do that stuff.
So all that is to say, we should have more Heroes PvE events.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think
again, the next one, Diablo theme.
That conversation.
Diablo theme.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Me too.
So little, not a ton of news coming from the hero stuff this week, but we have had so much the last couple of weeks with the blog posts, the AMA, all that good stuff, and of course Deckard Cain coming out. So we wanted to have Go ahead.
It's almost good to have a little news break, honestly.
It is,
Yeah.
I know it doesn't stop hardly.
Yeah,
which is typically a good thing. But yeah,
Which for podcasting is very good.
it is a good thing. But so we were able to just have a different discussion this week, and so we are going to be talking a little bit about maps. I believe it was last week, the week before, somebody had a question about Dragonshire and kind of what the strategy is in that, and not being able to get his teammates to cooperate in Hero League and comps and stuff like that being weird. So we just want to talk about maps, maybe what the future of maps may hold when Hanamura may be released, things like that. And first, have a little discussion on what our favorite maps are, maybe why they're our favorite maps, what mechanics, there we go, that's the word, we like about the maps, what we think that may show in the future for future maps, things like that. So, and I'm actually curious. I already know what TBK's favorite map is. It won't surprise me at all, because I think it's been your favorite map for a while. I think. Well, actually, it's going to be one of two.
Okay, I want to hear it.
Right now?
What do you think? Yeah, what do you think it is?
It's either going to be Dragon Knight or Towers of Doom.
You do know me well, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, those are your top two?
Top two.
Yep.
those are my top two.
What?
Although I really like Battlefield of Eternity as well. I think those would probably be my top three.
Okay. Interesting.
I think that's a very well done 2-lane map.
So I guess both of you, why what's your top map? Number one. TBK.
It's like making me pick a favorite child. You just shouldn't do it.
But you will.
I only
always
have
do.
one, so it's easy for me.
I will. I think I'm going to lean just slightly towards Towers of Doom.
Okay.
It just plays so uniquely from a MOBA standpoint. It doesn't have you can't rush into it. So you have to be on your game the entirety of the map, or people can come back. And it gives you a lot of different mechanics to either push ahead if you're smart, or come from behind if the enemy is not doing what they should. It's thematically very cool, and it's got a teleport in the middle that no one remembers is there, but it's there and it's useful sometimes.
I never use that thing.
I know.
I've used it.
Most people don't.
When I do use it, most of the time it's on accident. And then I'm like, oh, look at that. That thing.
Sometimes you use it thinking it's safe, and
It's
then
not.
it is not.
Yeah.
Yep. So there's that too.
Okay. What is your number one, Multi?
I'm going to go with Dragonshire, but I want to piggyback on you a little bit for Towers of Doom. What I like about it is the alternate win condition in Towers of Doom. Just in that, honestly, it makes for fun HGC watching as well, to see, okay, this team's up 15 shots, but the other team's starting to come back and win some team fights, and now the gap is closed, and the next turn-in's going to make all the difference, and blah, blah, blah. It's just a good time. And honestly, that's why I was initially so excited for Hanamura, was here's another map that has an alternate win condition. We're fighting over these payloads and that sort of thing. And then, as you guys know, as time went on, pushing became the even better strategy. And then I was just kind of like, okay, well, so much for the alternate win condition. So anyway, no.
Since we're on Towers of Doom, I'm going to throw, because that's my number two.
Okay.
As well. So I'm kind of along the same lines of just how the map plays differently. And because I used to, in all honesty, not like Towers of Doom very much. It was too different for me for a MOBA. But it seems like that is the map to where in HGC games, it's almost the closest games that we watch out of any other map most of the time.
They can be.
As well as, it's a map that, yes, this game has comeback mechanics, but that map has the most comeback potential if you play, your strategy correctly than most maps on the game. Because, it's not like you're going to be down, have one keep left while they have all three, plus a couple forts. It always seems manageable as long as you work together as a team. And we've seen some huge comebacks from it. So that's why I enjoy that. But Dragonshire, I'm interested.
Yeah, so Dragon Strider's kind of always been my favorite, and it's mainly because for some reason I'm just kind of drawn to the smaller, like 1v1, 2v2, 3v3 fights that can go on in really honestly any MOBA. But especially this map, I mean, because the objective comes out, you have to start thinking through, okay, how are you going to rotate between these two different spots? Are you going to just keep pushing, et cetera, et cetera? There's a lot of decisions to make in that time, and it just makes for kind of fun play. I know it's not always optimal to just duke it out 2v2 in either lane. Sometimes you kind of stagnate there, and maybe it's better to rotate some people up to help out with one or the other, or give one up so that you can guarantee the other one. I mean, you can do all that stuff, but when you don't, my point is when it's just a flat out 2-1-2, or like two sets of two and an Abathur or someone just floating around, and it's just a duel, like a little mini Lords of the Lane going on up there. It's super fun, and I don't know, like I feel like those situations are ones in which certain heroes can shine when they otherwise normally don't as much. I'm thinking about like Rexar and how fun he can be on that map. Just putting in Misha to cap the point, or just his ability to stay in top lane and then kind of take that top point and that sort of thing. So I don't know. And then there's the excitement of just capping the Dragon Knight. And to me, like one of the most exciting moments is when either team is just about to cap one, like the channeling bar is going, it's uncontested, and one of the other points goes away to the enemy team, just like in the exact moment that they would have capped it. Or on the flip side, you've got both sides, but it's turned into a giant team fight in the middle to see who can even cap this thing. Or there's just so much interesting play there, and it's honestly never gotten old. I just love the map.
You want to know?
You run up to the middle to cap it, and that one archer minion just keeps hitting you.
The MVP.
And you have to run back and kill it, and then you lose both points.
Yeah. Or it's one of the worst feelings in the game where you're capping it, you accidentally misclick and stop the channel, and then you almost get it and lose it, and you just hope no one saw you accidentally stop the channel.
But they all saw.
Yeah.
I haven't you channeled yet. I just got here.
Yeah.
I got interrupted.
Yeah.
I swear.
By the
archer.
minion. Yeah. Blame the archer.
So my favorite is Cursed Hollow now. It's for me at least, I guess I think of the most organic battlegrounds in Heroes of the Storm. It's for a reason. That's when you start a new account and stuff, now you're locked to that map for a certain amount of games. I think it's the most basic, but also has super interesting strategies as far as rotations, when to cap points, when to soak lanes. And I really enjoy the whole curse mechanic of it. And interestingly enough, that's a map where the win condition a lot of times actually doesn't come down to the map mechanic. The map mechanic's just kind of a starter on that map to get you a lead, experience lead. And then a lot of times, towards the end of the game, that the point almost becomes, you can ignore it at some points. Some situations, it's still going to be really important, but it comes down to more map control, awareness of where the enemy team is, the rotations, and kind of a fight between rotating on the map and getting that control, and it coming down to a big fight at one of the camps, which I really enjoy, have been enjoying as of late. A close second for me, kind of tied with Towers of Doom, is Brax's Holdout, which also, interestingly enough, I used to hate, mainly because that was a really hard map, and it's still probably in my bottom two maps as far as win percentage, because I do think it is difficult. Yes, it is snowbally, but I do love the aspect of having to time the rotations right to go up and help your solo laner. Those are very, very key points. I don't love the objective reward nearly as much, again, because that contributes to kind of the snowballiness of it. But I love the fights that the objective itself creates in the rotations on that. are really neat.
Yeah, and that is one of the maps they did mention in the AMA that is up for potentially some minor tweaking to help prevent that snowballiness too. And so I think if they made that map a little less snowbally, I think it would jump up on my like list of maps that I really like, because I really like 2-lane maps.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like they shake things up quite a bit. And Battlefield of Eternity really has nailed, I think, what a 2-lane map should be. And I think Braxis could be that with a few tweaks as well.
Mm-hmm. So real quick, least favorite map. TBK.
Ooh. Are we all unanimous on this one?
It's going to be Garden of Terror.
What'd you say, Gizmo?
I think I'm going to be different. So Garden of Terror, what's yours?
Garden of Terror.
It's close for me. I have been enjoying Garden of Terror more lately. I don't know why. But for me, it's Blackheart's Bay.
Interesting.
That's my second.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Blackheart's Bay. It's probably my third favorite.
It's nice for me occasionally to get, like, every once in a while, because it's so different. But I really, the whole fact that, you know, if you're trying, like, try hard to win, the objective becoming get a lead and then avoid the enemy team and just control the PvE aspect of it, I'm not
That's true.
a
When
huge
you're just
fan of.
Clearing stuff for doubloons. Now, when it breaks out into a big fight right at Blackheart, as the one I described earlier did, that can be really fun.
It can, but if you're going, it's not so much that, like, I hate the aspect of, like, when you're in the lead and making those strategic rotations and stuff, but it is super frustrating when you're the team not in the lead and you're trying to force fights and all they do is pull out. Because, you know, even if, you know, you're trying to force a fight at turn in, all they have to do is walk away. They have a lead. They can go rotate, get camps, soak lanes while you fall further behind, while you wait there to try and keep interrupting that. Or they wait for you to go back to the lane and then turn in. So that just feels bad when you're trying your hardest to force a fight and there's nothing to allow you to do that.
It's one of the most frustrating maps to play with an uncoordinated team. Like if your team can't soak, can't do rotations, is not watching the turn in, you can tell very quickly with 90% surety if a game is going to be over in the first few minutes of that game.
And
just because of how the map mechanic works.
Yeah, if you lose the eye at the very first few minutes of the game, you lose.
Done. You're done.
It's over.
And it also feels bad to drop almost 100 coins, even though that has nothing to do with the actual gameplay itself. So that is a thing that can happen. So we've seen some objectives, map mechanics, kind of carry over to other maps, evolve in some ways. You know, we've had channel mechanics come over. We've had gather mechanics like Garden of Terror, Haunted Mines, and now not Battlegrounds of Eternity.
Battlefield of Eternity?
Battlefield of Eternity. Oh my gosh. The
Infernal
Shrines.
Shrines?
Infernal Shrines.
That's kind of a gather mechanic. I'd say like Tomb of the Spider Queen's a true gather mechanic.
Well,
where you're collecting things,
true.
turning them in, storing them up.
It's kind of an evolving thing, for, you know, PvE.
Yeah.
Collection mechanic, I guess. We've had map points or capture points as far as, you know, oh my gosh, why Sky Temple. Wow, guys.
Is this trivia? Is this trivia night?
It is.
Like you say it's part of a map name and
Sky
then we
thing.
We say the other part.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
How many points do we have? Who's winning?
Let's talk about Haunted.
Nice.
Nailed it. TVK's got
Sky Temple capture zones, you know, evolving into, oh my gosh, what is it? Volskaya Foundry. There we go. So similar things, but evolving into which of those do you like? What would you like to see? And I guess leading into, what would you like to see, we'll say, the next map that comes out? What type of mechanic, whether it be a gathering, capture, channel, and how would you like to see it evolve? And this can be TBK. I know you've been a huge supporter of getting an Alterac Valley in. What would those points look like? Would it be a capture zone, channeling, gathering, combination? It could be a combination map going into that.
So for those that don't know, I actually concepted out Alterac Valley a few months back, and the mechanics for it are my like vision of it are a little mix of like new and some of the old stuff. So partially you have a Tomb of the Spider Queen like mechanic on AV where you kill the minions, they drop meat stacks, and these meat stacks are used to summon your Wolf Riders or your, the Alliance equivalent of those to push a lane, depending on where you turn that in, and which lane is the most in need. That's where the Wolf Riders will head down.
Yeah. Hey, Gizmo. What was the Alliance equivalent? Were they donkeys or something, or like sickly mules?
Ponies, maybe.
Ponies? Were they like? Yeah. What's just tell us how wimpy the Alliance.
Whatever they were,
equivalent
I think
to a
they were
crossbow
easily.
is.
They're
slaughtered.
probably goats. I've never, as in greatest of all time.
I think I remember playing vanilla and just one arcane explosion, just killing all of the Alliance. So I don't know.
Just all of them, yeah.
I was never a
view is skewed.
PvPer in WoW.
I appreciate that sidebar, Multi. That was very important to talk about because you're right. I'm sure Blizzard will have to pre-buff whatever the Alliance version is to make them not terrible.
Oh, it was sickly gazelles. That's right.
Sickly gazelles. But yeah, so AV wise, you'd have a mechanic, you'd collect meat, you could summon Wolf Riders, you'd have the mercenary camps, which would borrow from some of the newer things like Hanamura and Volskaya, where after you captured them, you'd get an item that allowed you to summon basically an air raid where the Griffin or the Wyvern Riders, which would go and bomb a lane that you wanted to bomb. And then mechanically, you would have something called lieutenants or defenders. Because in my way I've got the map laid out, your core is actually a general unit that you will fight. And I kind of explain how the mechanics work for that. But the general has 3 defenders, one for each lane. And the defenders have certain abilities, like at full health or at full strength, the defender has an AoE attack and has a lot of health and damage. But as you destroy forts and keeps, the defenders then lose those AoE attacks and lose damage and health so that you weaken them to allow you to more easily assault the general or the core. And so it's kind of like a combination of a lot of different mechanics put together and then a little bit of new stuff as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
A multi, I know what map you've been a big supporter of as well as getting a Hearthstone map.
Well, I'm a big fan of potentially a Hearthstone map coming out down the road. And I could get into all that again, but I kind of want to speak a little bit more broadly at this point. And it's just that for me, like, yes, there's the collection maps and there's these different ways to turn in some channeling and that sort of thing. But to me, honestly, there's really just 3 types kind of. And it's more about like how many points are you contesting and in what way are you doing it? Like, are they spread out? Do they spawn at random times, et cetera, et cetera? So like take Volskaya, for example. The 1 point comes up and both teams have to fight over it to get the Triglav Protector that has now finally actually some pushing power to it. So it's important to actually get that now. So there's a difference for me between everyone collapsing for one big fight or there being a few disparate points. So you think again about like, when all 3 shrines come up in Sky Temple at the same time, or of course, the same thing with Towers of Doom. My previous example with Dragonshire, just a far distant top and bottom shrines that you have to cap there as well. And then we've got those two in my mind. Everyone collapse on one point and fight over it versus everyone split in some way and rotate in interesting ways. And then there's honestly a third one to me, and that is in Battlefield of Eternity. So here's one where like the same objective comes up every time with the two champions fighting each other. And you have to then make the decision of like, how many people are we going to send on offense? How many are we going to send on defense? Are we on defense because we're down on levels? Are we up because like, do we get really offensive because we just have a comp that can race that much? Like we've got our Tyrande and Greymane or whoever, right? So what I want to see coming out down the road is honestly more stuff like that. I want to see more mechanics where, for one reason or another, the two teams have to kind of sit back and make some just snap judgment calls, some snap strategies to decide, again, like how many people are we going to send offensively versus defensively. I mean, I guess this happens in a lot of the maps anyway. I just think it happens in Battlefield of Eternity in a way that's totally different from the rest of them. And I think that they could do so many different things with that. I don't have any specifics off the top of my head, but I like the idea behind that. I'd like to see it expanded some.
Yeah. One of the things I don't like about maps where it's a single point, like even Cursed Hollow or Battlefield of Eternity, is it can feel really hard to come back when you're behind because there's that one objective where it's like, you're supposed to go do this. And it can feel even more so in Battlefield of Eternity because even if you decide to just soak, there's only 2 lanes to soak from. And when you're behind, you almost feel like you have to go, either defend a little bit, poke so that you can soak some more experience, or get a little bit of damage done on their immortal so it's not as powerful. Granted, for the way that map is balanced fairly well to where, that map's not nearly as snowbally as it used to be. So I do really like the maps to where it's split up, like Sky Temple, Towers of Doom, to where you have those options when you're behind, to where the team's going to stronger team may potentially split to get 2 points, to where you can just go as a full group as one. So I like maps to where there's a good decision making can lead to a objective capture even when you're super far behind. The map I've talked about that I would like to see back when we were having Hanamura discussions of, what could Hanamura be when it comes back, and we've had, we pretty much know or have a good idea of what it's going to be when it comes back now. But I talked about like Silver Shard Mines, and actually having it to where that's a 2-lane map, but it's
I love that,
shaped like an X, to where the 2 lanes actually cross in the middle, and kind of having a tug of war with the minecart pushing it to the enemy side or them pushing it to your side. But then that kind of runs into the same issues of one objective, and that's you design it in a way where there's multiple carts, but then that kind of turns into Hanamura again.
The regular Hanamura, yeah.
So I don't know what that would be. I'm just really pretty darn impressed each time they come out with a new map. Whether it's they're able to take a familiar feeling mechanic and tweak it to feel incredibly different, even if it's not so much. And sometimes they are incredibly different. The tweaks that they do to mercenary camps, and I would love for it to be potentially a Warcraft map, because I think a lot of people would like that, and Warcraft's been a big staple.
Everyone. Guys, Hearthstone is in the Warcraft universe, so how about a map that's set on a Hearthstone board?
With that argument, that goes right into the argument of there's a ton of Hearthstone in Heroes of the Storm.
Oh, yes.
Because we have Valyria, we have Gul'dan, we have Uther.
That Matt told us about, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, that goes into the same argument there.
Well, I think you bring up a good point, too. We haven't had a new map for quite a while.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Has it been especially over a year now? Yeah.
Volskaya Gaia was the last one.
Oh no, yeah. So it's
not
been
been
less
quite
than
a year. That was like October-ish. It was
Yeah.
right before BlizzCon, which we thought was odd at the time.
It's been a
but-
while though, and especially since because Hanamura got pulled, that was the only map we got last year.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Technically.
it'll be interesting to see if all the rework on Hanamura delayed some other maps, and Hanamura will count as our 1 or maybe 2 maps that come out this year.
So
Or if they're slowing down the map releases even more than they have slowed down the hero releases. I'm not sure.
I think you have to have, or I think you have to have some sort of slowness on maps, just because of how much impact they can have in gameplay.
Here's an idea for slowness on maps. Just release one ever League of Legends.
So I think it's kind of a mix of both of those. This is what I think is going to happen. I think we'll get 2 maps this year. I think we'll get a map that and obviously they're probably working on several maps. But I imagine the map they were working on the most that was set for the next release after Hanamura probably got put on hold after Hanamura came out, had issues. I think that probably all the maps they're working on, they probably wanted to stop, take a look at things, see if they were going to run into any similar issues, reevaluate any new mechanics they were coming up with, just so they could try and avoid any similar problems in the future, which is, near impossible to guarantee that we're not going to run into those, because you never know, even with in testing within the company, you don't know when you get 6.5 million maybe players all trying it out. Stuff's going to happen that you haven't planned for, so things could break. So I think we'll get Hanamura returning hopefully soon. We've gotten posts from them that they have kind of gone on or decided what the mechanic's going to be, that it's in the works. Hopefully should see it back soon, and then we will get later in the year maybe a BlizzCon announcement.
I was going to say, do you think it's going to be a BlizzCon map?
Or a mid-year thing. So I've got an idea. We've seen in the past themed releases coming out about the different games. We had the Battlefield of Eternity and Infernal Shrines dropping as a twofer for Diablo. And then in StarCraft, we had it for Braxis and Warhead Junction. And I think it's Warcraft's turn for that. And I think they could release a 2-map bundle type deal or a big event, maybe mid-year, of both Arathi or Alterac Valley and Arathi Basin.
Well, I mean, it makes sense, right? We've got Battle for Azeroth coming out in August.
Right.
And so we've seen big StarCraft event before. So I think that's totally legitimate that we could see a big Warcraft crossover event of some sort in kind of tandem.
BFA.
Yeah, just maybe releasing before or during or whatever Battle for Azeroth. You get our first Warcraft map. We get another Warcraft hero or 2. We get a bunch of like cool Warcraft specific sprays and portraits and
There's even
skins
more cross
and all
promo
sorts
with
of stuff.
BFA and
Yeah.
I could see that happening. I could also see, because there will be how many months between so it's August, October, November, 3-ish, 2.5-ish months between the release of Bazaroth and BlizzCon. I could see that coming out in September, and then us being familiar at least with some of what's going on in World of Warcraft. Maybe there's a new character that's introduced into the story, and having a BlizzCon Heroes of the Storm event to where maybe we get a map that's based off of Battle for Azeroth and a new character that is somebody who's been introduced in Battle for Azeroth, along with 1 or 2 more that are announced at BlizzCon, and that being a map, which could be.
So you're saying we're going to get Raytheon and get our Black Dragon?
No. I wonder if Raytheon is Raytheon going to be in Bazaroth? Is that like a confirmed thing?
Yeah, maybe.
Theorizing it.
Maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, there could be. We have the War Fronts and the not Isle of
islands.
Conquest. No, that's
No, the
but yes,
island
the
expeditions.
the new the island expeditions could potentially introduce some interesting mechanics that could translate over for a MOBA map, which could be interesting. And there's different types of islands for those expeditions, so we could see kind of a crossover thing potentially, like we have the Diablo Heaven and Hell side, so some cool tile sets.
That would be a fun brawl, a fun PvE brawl.
Isle of Expeditions?
Like dynamicness and randomness in maps for MOBAs, people tend to not like that because then you have like, oh, well, I just lost because this effect happened at this time. Like you don't want a lot of RNG in your maps. You want fair predictability. But for PvE brawls, you could do very, very unique, very replayable brawls with that type of thing where the landscape changed or the props changed around each time. The enemy types might change around each time. That type of thing.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I do, because it's kind of on the subject, and it's a good question. Kalzika in chat says, quick match needs the ability to blacklist maps by the player, like WoW's Battlegrounds. And we've talked about this in the past, of, being able to veto maps and whatnot. And it seems like a, good discussion we can have since we're talking about maps. I don't know if that's a thing that should happen for quick match, especially with the new rules that are going to be coming in that are bound to potentially increase queue times a little bit. But we've talked several times on I don't know about blacklisting. I don't think you should be able to go into your profile and say, I don't want to play this map, because then you can just select your best maps, and, getting your ranking and your win rate and stuff should show how versatile you are. But there being, in ranked play or something, before draft, like a map, like they have in the HGC, a ban phase for maps. Maybe they could work that into as something that could, they have that in HGC to even out the first pick competitive advantage, I guess. Maybe that could be something that comes into ranked play period, to where your team, if your second pick, can vote on a map to ban before you get in. I kind of like that, but
maybe
the more maps that come in, the better chances of us having some sort of veto mechanic coming in, I think. What do you guys think? Would you like to see that in quick match, or do you think we need to keep those queue times shorter? What's your opinions?
I'd be concerned about the queue times too, but honestly, like, the more I think about it, the more I wish there was an option where we could kind of manually choose our queue time, other than obviously queuing as Deckard Cain right now, because alone you're in for a bit of a wait. But beyond that, like, if it was an option to where, yes, I've blacklisted a couple maps, I know I'm going to wait probably 5-10 minutes for this thing because of that, but I know this. Maybe I can wash some dishes while I wait for the queue to pop, or, like, multitask in some other way, get a Hearthstone game in maybe, and if it's worth it to me to not play those maps because maybe I'm trying a certain hero that's particularly good on Haunted. Points. TBK's got it.
Who's keeping track of points? I don't know.
Yeah, it's like 5 TBK, 0 U. But anyway, happy birthday. So I think there could be something to that. I think there could also be something to people who somehow set up, like if I really feel like I need a true comp, 2 tanks, some damage and a healer, et cetera, et cetera. If there was a way to set that's what I want and that I'm okay with waiting longer in the queue for it, that could be cool too. I think they kind of nip that in the bud with these changes coming up here, but I don't know. There's some player choice that I think they could explore, but I know they're hesitant too because of the queue times. Yeah, because if even like 10% of people opt into something like that, it will at least slightly slow it down for the other 90 for sure.
Yeah, and they have at least gone to where, actually in quick match, is there a map rotation? Didn't they?
No.
There is not.
No,
it's just open.
So I could, maybe they go to where they limit the quick match map pool, even more so than the ranked map pool, but just rotate it more often.
Oh, rotate it like weekly.
Yeah, because
That'd be
yeah.
Well, if you think about it, they're going to have to do something. We're getting close. We're not quite there, but we're getting pretty close to the point where we will have too many maps.
Yes.
Because even at the rate of 1 or 2 a year, you're eventually going to hit like, oh crap, we got 20 maps in game right now. And I think that solution would be a pretty elegant one. You have map rotations for quick match, maybe unranked. Hero League, I still feel should follow the HGC seasons. That's a whole other discussion, but I feel like just from a fairness and from a trying to sync the pro and the Hero League ladder a bit more, those should be in sync. But a more like weekly or bi-weekly rotation of quick match maps to like 10 a week or something in there, I think could be really good. And then give more variety, get rid of some of the maps people don't like for a time. And then also take away that extra potential queue time that blacklisting might add.
Yeah, because one of the things you have to think of with just another point with the blacklisting, you're not just extending. You may say it's okay, like I would rather wait longer for myself to get matches because I want to play the specific maps, but you're not just causing you to wait longer. It's literally every person that vetoes maps, which if that's an option, most people are going to be doing, and that will like grow exponentially because there's going to be trying to build on the new rule, plus people that only want to play certain maps. But yeah, I would love to see that quick rotation because you will see there's a better chance of seeing those maps more. Because now, I had to ask, is there a map rotation? Because there's maps I have not seen Haunted Mines in forever. Just because I haven't gotten that because there's so many maps for me to have a chance of getting in quick match that's one that's just hasn't been given to me.
No wonder you don't remember the second word in the title.
Haunted Mines? I didn't have an issue with that one.
TBK is beating you to it.
I just wasn't ready, okay?
Yeah.
He wasn't ready. But yeah, it's a interesting thing, and by no means am I saying that blacklisting and quick match is absolutely wrong. Just my opinion, and maybe they can find a way for it to work.
System of some sort.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going to have to happen. Whether what it ends up being is up in the air. But I agree. I don't think blacklisting is terrible. And I'm sorry, I'll let you finish your thought. But there's I would be in. This is another API thing, right? I would love to see. And as Chad has pointed out, blacklisting would be really interesting data wise to see what really were the least popular maps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True.
Yep. I just know that I want them to come up with a system like this instead of super slow down the release of maps to like one per year or stopping entirely. I would rather see new maps
entirely, but
I don't either. But I would rather see new maps, maybe even in bundles like we talked about, than slow down the roll on that, just so that because we don't have a system like this in place. If that makes sense.
Just a couple more quick things on this map discussion because I know we got to move on here. Something I forgot about that I actually wanted to bring up. I don't know if this would be something that should actually be a map, and I'd like to see it as a brawl, but a map in custom options as well. I really would like to see a classic MOBA map in this game, just because I think I'm interested to see what type of compositions rise to the top in that. Because even if it's a classic MOBA map in this game, with the talent trees, shared experience, it would still be very different gameplay.
Oh yeah.
And I think potentially less snowbally because you're never being forced. Well, it could potentially turn into one of those Blackheart things to where you're up, you just never give the team I don't know. I just think it would be interesting to see, no main objective, just the 3 lanes pushing, just to see what happens, just let it happen.
Jungler and stuff. That would be kind of interesting, actually. I think that's a fun idea for a brawl for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And they could totally make it look enough like Summoner's Rift to make us all have this like tongue-in-cheek moment of going, oh, I see what you did there.
But yeah, true. Last thing, real quick, predictions. Give me a month of when you think Hanamura is going to return. We'll see who's right or closest.
Oh, God.
And I'm going to go last, so I have an advantage here. DBK, you go first.
I guess it is your birthday.
It's like the Price is
Hold
Right.
the birthday card.
No, it's like the Price is Right when the guy's like $41.
Yep, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Anyway,
I bet a penny
yeah, right.
to cover all the rest of the stuff.
We'll say, just like Price is Right, if you go over, if you're a month later, but you're still closer by a month, you lose. You can't go over.
Okay, good.
So,
December.
yeah.
I will say June.
Dang it, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Multi.
September.
Okay. I'm going to say July. So,
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see. June feels like the right answer to me, though, personally.
Probably. I mean, it's far along enough that they've
It's gotta be
kind of
soon.
announced.
Yeah.
It's gotta be soon.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
been in rework for a long time. Almost a year. It's been gone. Which is
Since
pretty
you've been
crazy.
gone.
Yep.
That could have gone
All
into
right.
other things that I stopped. Because I don't want to
Thank
make
you.
it so many weeks in a row where I keep singing because I can't sing. Let's get into the HGC. That is such a good sounder. It's really good.
It is. I really like it.
Real,
Thanks, Jake
well
Butler.
done. Yes, well done, Jake. TBK, HGC, we got some exciting stuff coming up.
We have some exciting stuff coming up, and we had some exciting stuff happen this last weekend. First off, just as a primer, playoffs are this weekend for the midseason brawl. The patch will be the Phoenix Balance patch that came out April 12th. So
The good Phoenix Balance patch.
yes, the good
Right.
Phoenix Balance patch. I don't want to take too long on the HGC section this time, just because we do have playoffs coming up. But I do want to highlight some of the probably the absolute treat of a series that was Simplicity versus Team Freedom, that went to 5 games and included a Murky, a Butcher, and a Twin Blade Varian.
You just wanted to highlight Twin Blade Variant.
I did. It won. Twin Blade Varian. It is 100% win right now. You know, don't let your memes be dreams.
Don't let your memes be dreams? Or let your memes be dreams?
No, we don't want to just dream it. We want to do it.
Yeah.
And Team Freedom did it, and it worked. It actually worked really well. Spectacular.
Did they have all 3? Was it Varian, Murky, Butcher on the same team?
No,
I was
these were
gonna say, that's
Scattered
just-
throughout the series.
different games.
That's just dirty.
They actually used Murky to pretty decent effect in Octograbbing Medivh. To keep him from being able to do stuff. So, I mean, Octograb, really, if you think about it, I think is the longest stun in the game.
It's a good ability. I've always thought so. Well,
Um,
since they changed it to be the longest stun in the game, but
Yeah. So, and then the Butcher was really fun to watch as well, especially you forget how long a range Lamb to the Slaughter actually has on it. Until you see it in pro play and realize, oh, dang, you can really cast that from a ways away, can't you? But
Oh, dang.
highly-
Golly gee.
oh, gee, golly, mister, that's an all range. You can go, if you watch anything, I highly suggest you go back. It went 5 games, the Simplicity versus Team Freedom series from this last weekend. Really, really good. Okay, so for playoffs, Tempo Storm and Team Dignitas have automatically qualified for the midseason brawl. And Fnatic has as well. So we have 3 of our 5 teams from the NAE region. Number 1 seed in NA is Heroes Hearth. and number 1 seed in the E region is going to be Method going into the playoffs. Just to give you kind of a preview of some of the games we have, once I get back to my page, Friday, April 27th, starting at 4 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern.
Nailed it.
Gale Force Esports will be battling Simplicity, and remember, these playoffs are ladder playoffs, so the lowest teams will have to fight their way up throughout the entire ladder, and then the winner of each of them will get to go to the midseason brawl along with their other respective teams. The winner of the Gale Force Simplicity match will face Team Freedom. The winner of that match will face Team 12, and then the winner of that match will go up against Heroes Hearth for the midseason brawl spot. On the EU side, we have Zealots and Tricked fighting each other in the first round, which is interesting considering how well Zealots did at the Western Clash, that they are on the bottom rung and having to fight their way back up.
I was wrong.
I just thought that was kind of interesting. So Zealots will be facing Tricked. The winner of that will go up against Team Liquid, and then of course the winner of that will go up against Method. So this is going to be a big round of games this weekend. A lot on the line for these teams. So be sure to jump on and watch those if you can.
Zealots have proven that they can fight pretty hard from behind on brackets, though. So you never know.
Yeah,
but yeah,
you never know.
Good stuff.
But yeah, that's the main HGC stuff this week. It's just all we got. The Crucible teams are set from both sides, both the Open Division and from the HGC. So we're just basically waiting for our midseason brawl teams to go, and then it's gonna be good.
Excellent. On to community content this week, TBK.
I love
this
potatoes.
is a stacked.
I had a sounder for that one.
You had a okay. Sorry, go ahead.
I love potatoes.
I clipped that a while back, and I've had it on my soundboard. I just needed to use it.
That's the J How I love potatoes.
Yep.
I like it. I'm
Yeah.
okay with it.
I don't remember why he said that last time we had him on, but he did, so I clipped it.
Yeah. Good. I like it. Let's new community content.
We needed some music in the background of it, but yes.
I'll work on it.
I love potatoes. Yes. That's it's evolving. It's evolving. It's a fresh run. First off, I wanted to highlight, since this is Deckard Cain release week, BBJ from Heroes Hearth has written a Deckard Cain tips article that is on the Heroes Esports main website. Definitely go check that out. There's a lot of really interesting stuff on that. If you want to up your Deckard Cain game, get the Deckard gains.
Yeah. No, it's really good.
I thought there was
The
more
build
of a
makes
jump.
sense.
It's the Deckard Cain
There's
game
really
train.
not. Yes, there you go. Was missing
go.
the train.
Train your
I
game
told-
for
yes,
Deckard
I'm
Cain
I can't
game.
miss the train, man.
There we go.
Oh my god,
Train your game
Wow.
for Deckard Cain game.
that's an episode title right there.
Yeah.
Hurts
That's
my
good.
head.
Also up last Thursday, I guested on the Training Dummies with Rob and Daryl,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
they are awesome dudes. Their podcast has been going on for quite some time. It's a Blizzard focused podcast, not necessarily one thing specifically. And so they had me on, and we actually talked. It's mainly an episode about Heroes. A lot of HGC stuff, a lot about the AMA that happened, and kind of my thoughts on the direction the game is going. So if you want more Heroes content to listen to, we'll have the link to that episode in the show notes. It turned out pretty well.
Yeah.
I was pretty happy with it.
Have we all been on that show now?
Yes.
Yeah, excellent.
I
It's
was the last one.
yeah, it's fantastic.
show.
Both,
Go
yeah,
check
both those are great guys. Two of the guys I look forward to seeing the most at BlizzCon each year. It's been too long.
They're
For sure. They had me on to talk Hearthstone like a year before I started a Hearthstone podcast.
They know.
So it was good.
Yeah,
They
They're
do.
nice guys for sure.
And speaking of BlizzCon, the next thing up is the Kickstarter for Con Before the Storm is now live. For those of you who don't know what Con Before the Storm is, on the Thursday before BlizzCon starts on Friday, there is a huge community hosted event. It's just getting bigger every year. I think this is now their like 5th or 6th year doing this. 6th year. And it's just grown massively every year, and it's totally free. And there's a huge art panel. There's signings. There's meet and greets with your favorite content creators, podcasters, YouTube creators, just all sorts. Blizzard people show up as well and kind of mingle around. And it's an expensive endeavor to rent Hilton ballrooms and such. And it's even
During
more
BlizzCon.
during
right
BlizzCon.
before.
And it's even a more expensive endeavor to set up rooms with a bunch of audio equipment and everything they need for what some people might know, World of Podcasts. And that's something that's kind of attached to Con Before the Storm, or has been. And that's where a lot of your favorite podcasters will get together and do panels on certain things. Both Gizmo and myself were on panels for World of Podcast last year. He did a podcasting panel. I did a heroes panel.
I was on one the year before.
Multi was on one the year before. He was on the Overwatch
Yes.
one the year before. And so it's super fun to get to do those because it's a mashup of all your favorite shows, and the personalities are super fun to get together as well. At
It
least
just makes for good conversation.
it really does. And so World of Podcast is actually a stretch goal on the Kickstarter this year, just because of how expensive the whole endeavor is. They've almost met their main goal. They are just about $300 away from their hitting their main goal and getting funded, and then moving on to their stretch goals. So if you're interested, if you're going to BlizzCon, if you've gone to Con Before the Storm in the past, highly recommend you jumping on and throwing a few bucks their way, because it just makes the party better.
Yeah, for sure.
And we can all speak to that because we have all been, and we all love it.
Yeah.
Also, and finally, just a bit of a teaser, because details are still being worked out, but the 3rd annual charity brawl, Heroes Charity Brawl, is in the works. And this is something that we have done with ITN and Core and a few other Heroes personalities for the last 2 years, where we get together, we play a bunch of crazy, wacky, fun, customized games, and we raise money for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. We are going to be doing that again this year. Details will follow, the specifics of who's coming. And
Bo said we could give the date, though.
And yeah, I am going to give the date. June 2nd.
What do you like for that?
Dude, it's just like Bo said we can give the date.
June 2nd. Bam.
I'm glad I had permission to give the date.
Yes.
I'm only the other person who's putting it together.
I know. But you weren't at the last meeting, man. I relayed that information to you just now. You're welcome.
I appreciate that. But yes, June 2nd, Saturday, June 2nd is going to be the Charity Brawl date. We have lots of fun stuff planned. It's going to be fairly similar to past years. If you've been, it'll be a several hour stretch, or we'll just be on playing a bunch of games, raising money, giving stuff away. It'll be a fun time. So be sure to keep your ears open to us, ITN, Core, for all the details that will be forthcoming.
Indeed.
And Gizmo will not drop 90 plus coins this year. Yes, he will.
Guarantee that.
Yes, he will. And Garrett will get mad at me again. It'll be great.
Because
Looking forward to it.
fun fact for those who didn't know, there was a brawl that was made that was actually based, at least loosely based off of a custom game mode that we made for Charity Brawl.
Yep.
Directly related, who knows?
Called Battle for the Bullion.
But we
That's right.
have had connections with another thing that's been put in the game. So maybe.
Never done.
Maybe. We do have some questions to get caught up on this week. So let's go ahead and hop right into those. All right. Multi, first up from Oberok. I like that
Oberok
name.
writes, I like to. Greetings, honored Zords. I don't know about the honored thing, but thank you. My question concerns unranked draft. I want to know what each of you think of the mode and what role you see it fulfilling. And if it was to be perfect, how would that look in your eyes? And then cheers from Oberok. He then also added as a bonus to the email a PDF that included a lot of ideas in a short description of how this could be fleshed out in like an unranked 2.0. And that included a lot of good ideas. There was stuff in there about like shorter drafts, taking a more casual approach to drafting, for instance, having perhaps no bans, and in general, just a place where people can be more comfortable with drafts before heading into ranked. And on that last point, yes, I think that's the role it fulfills to me. And honestly, to me, it's the only role it fulfills is getting people more comfortable with drafting prior to getting into ranked. Issue with that is, of course, there are some people that just skip it entirely and jump straight into ranked, which, I mean, is your own prerogative. If you're newer to the game and you have enough heroes to hop in there and try it out, then I'm not going to be the guy to say, no, you really should go back and L2D, learn to draft. I mean, if you're cool with just seeing where you match up on the ladder and fighting it out from there, that's fine by me. But as far as my take for unranked draft in general goes, honestly, I get the point of it. I'm glad it's in the game. I've probably played it twice ever, if that. I was actually trying to think about this earlier today. I was like, how have I really ever done it? And I think I have just with friends who wanted to, but that's it, honestly, because for me, like, I'm at a point right now where until maybe some of these changes come around next season, I'm not too worried about my rank per se. And I do like the experience. I like getting in there in Hero League, for instance, and just having people that are on comms, really trying, coming up with a good comp. I mean, I like the drafting, bit as well. I think it makes for some fun, kind of like pre-game, meta-game play, trying to psych out the other team and ban out proper heroes and that sort of thing. So, I mean, I just don't get a lot out of unranked draft because to me, if I'm playing unranked personally, anyway, I may as well just be doing quick match, playing the exact hero I want to play. So I don't know if you guys have that same take on it or what, but Oberok wants to know. So
I have and the information he's given us through a PDF is really neat that he's put together. Kind of the big things to take away from it, it goes from potentially 5.5 minute draft time down to 60 seconds, which is a pretty drastic change.
Where everyone just picks at the same time?
Yeah. Well, not at the same time, but like both first picks pick at the same time, then both second picks pick at the same time. Kind of the big things, though, so this turns it from unranked draft to just an unranked play mode, because it's not really a draft at that point. If they did something like this, I would think it should be all 5 people on both teams picking simultaneously. So you could work to just kind of get your team comp together. If you do first picks at the same time, second picks at the same time, that's probably going to lead to some potentially wonky comps because then you're trying to each consecutive pick counter their previous pick while also building on your composition. So you should be more just focused on kind of building your composition if you're wanting to do something quick. but I think it's too... Unranked draft is too important. Underutilized, yes. But it's too important of a mode to prepare for Hero League to take away that draft practice to get you into ranked play. I agree. This is a type of mode that you're suggesting that is the quick match mode in other MOBAs. Some of them where you don't actually select your hero before going into the match. You just queue for a match and then kind of, bam, build your team there and decide who's playing what. Which I don't think, we want in Heroes of the Storm. We've had the talks and stuff of, that could lead to better comps in quick match. But quick match is a place to play the hero you want and practice heroes you want instead of just having that chance of getting that hero you want. So while
or that whole deal where like you open the chat and you're like ADC,
yeah.
I'm the ADC. No one else take it, and then someone else takes it, and you're like GG.
Yeah.
So
I that's the only reason I don't like this, because I don't want it to take the place of that draft. That should be the practice area for people going into Hero League. And I don't want it to replace Quick Match that we currently have. But again, Unranked Draft is underutilized. I do think it will get better with the new Quick Match rules that are coming out. Because I think those rules are going to better prepare people to know kind of what a decent composition will look like. And maybe not every game is going to be perfect. But if you sit down to play a couple games with the new rules, you should at least get, a game that has a good composition role-wise, maybe not hero-wise. And I think that could lead to more people then moving into the unranked draft to utilize that, especially with getting a third ban here, hopefully soon. So we're going to kind of have to see the domino effect of that. But I overall do not want to get rid of the draft mode. TBK?
I think that Blizzard should use unranked draft as their test bed to test changes for ranked modes.
That's good as well.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I feel like I wrote a comment about this in one of the developer comments for the AMA when they're talking about hero swaps and extra bans and or doing the pick at any time like you can with Team League inside of Hero League and how that would work and whatnot. And it just got me thinking, like, why not use unranked draft as your test bed? I mean, it's because it's not fully serious, but it gives you the same flow as Hero League. And so let's use that to try and test the water with these changes, see how they work out, catch any potential issues before they go into the legit ranked mode and ruin people's ranked play, and then migrate them to the ranked mode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even with the ban decision. Is it a mid ban or is it at the top?
Exactly. Why not experiment with it in unranked draft?
We could be doing that now. Maybe I would actually play unranked draft.
Maybe have a month where it's at the top, and then maybe have a month where it's in the middle, and then garner feedback from actually having played with it without having to quote unquote waste a season on it.
Didn't they say they were going to put the third ban in unranked draft before they put it in ranked play?
No.
Did they?
I thought in the AMA somewhere I read that in response. Maybe not though.
No. You might have read my comment asking if they could use it as a test mode.
It was blue,
Yeah.
I thought. But actually another good point, because the main portion of this was to reduce the time to get in game. Maybe they could even in unranked draft just to either test it for Hero League or really just to test it to see what it does even for unranked draft alone, is shorten the timers a little bit more.
Sure. Totally. I
The
think
problem with
that'd be super
shortening
legitimate.
draft timers, though, is that it honestly makes the draft more intense.
Yeah.
You have less time to make your decisions, come up with a comp. So, like, it's almost more stressful to have less time.
But the
It would go
decisions
faster.
aren't as important in unranked draft. And you would get feedback from the community. I mean, it's something they can always change because, again, these have no implications on people's ranking, which is the important thing. And it would get feedback, whether it's, hey, this actually works really well and it's, getting us into matches faster. Sure, it's a little harder, but this could work in Hero League. Or, no, this is awful. Please change it back. And bam, they change it back for unranked.
Sure. And oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, unless they're new enough to where unranked draft MMR actually does impact their ranking, which is a thing.
Yeah.
But it won't be a thing moving forward.
That's true.
So that's something to think about as well. But I would think they have to have some data on how long the average wait time is before lock-in or before ban lock-in for the different phases of draft. And it would be interesting. I agree, Gizmo. It'd be interesting to kind of play that out in unranked, just to test that kind of thing and say, okay, they're 45 seconds or 30 seconds now. Because for heroes in general, especially as someone who does watch the pro scene, that the draft is one of the longest pieces of the actual watching. Like like they can, under some circumstances, the draft can be as long as the game is, depending on how things play out. And you don't want stuff to drag. You don't want the casters to have to just talk.
They fill it
constantly
with good commentary.
to fill stuff. But it gets old. Like, I want to get into the game. Like the time between games is too long, and the drafting is definitely a part of that issue.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yep, I agree. I actually, in VOD form, I'll listen to them sometimes for sure, especially if I just like the casters that are on the panel and want to hear what they think about the approach these different teams are taking. Honestly, I find myself watching the first draft a lot in the series, and then after that, fast forwarding.
Yeah, I skipped in VOD form. I skipped the draft entirely and just watched the commentary after the draft before the game to see what they picked and kind of what the discussion on it is. So, which we've talked about that in the past, and we could talk about it again and spend forever on it. We could also talk about this subject forever because it's a good question, good suggestion, and it's one of those things, man. It's one of those things. That is actually the only question we had. I thought we had another, but I just included that PDF portion as another question, which it is not. It is information. So that is going to do it for this week's episode. Before we get out of here, Multi, why don't you let people know where we can be reached?
Oh, you can find us in-game by typing /join /LOTS, or you can join our Discord, which is at bit.ly/lotsdiscord, or we're on Twitter and Twitch at Lords of the Storm. Twitch is Lords of the Storm. Well, rather, it's twitch.tv/Lords of the Storm. Heyo. We're also on Facebook. Facebook.com/Lords of the Storm podcast is the place. And if you want to email us with feedback or questions, that's lordsofthestorm@outlook.com. And if you want to help out the show, there's a couple ways to do it. You could leave a positive review. It's been a little while since our last one, so we'd really appreciate it. 5-star iTunes would be perfect, but whatever you can do there. And again, whatever you can do in the form of Patreon is appreciated as well. If you can't swing it, by all means, no sweat off our backs, no sweat off yours. Keep enjoying the show as you are. But again, for anyone who is given, even if you are still somehow against us and villainous in some ways, we still appreciate it. So, thank you, Anti-Zord.
Yeah, if you want to see our demise but still support us at the same time, if you're split, you can do that. So thanks.
I like that approach. Yeah. I honestly do.
For sure. Yeah. You can find us individually, myself on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, all those things at GizmoZord, as well as Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Central on Convert to Raid presents the BattleNet News, the podcast about all things Blizzard, heavy on the WoW, especially now coming up with Bazaroth beta coming out and getting closer to release date. Multi, where can you be found?
Oh, I can be found on Twitter at Multizord, and I'm also on a show called Hearth Casual, which I alluded to. It's with Brian Rowe from Rail Maintenance. And anyway, it's an off week for sure. I'm sure he'll do the Brawl update this week. But then the next week, this times out perfectly because tomorrow the Monster Hunt's coming out in Hearthstone. So it probably would be too much to digest a bunch and have a big report on it the day it comes out, because we typically record Thursdays. But next week, that's almost the sole focus of the episode. Is he's taking one of the classes, I'm taking one of the others, and super analyzing like what works, what cards to pick as you go through, what's the general strategy. So it should be a good time.
Nice. And that's kind of this expansion's version of the dungeon runs, right?
Yeah, that's right. But
Okay.
there's only 4 classes specifically for this,
Okay.
instead of like playing as all 9. So,
Fair
and they've
enough.
got like different themed hero powers and stuff. So it's good. Should be fun.
TBK, where can you be found?
You can find me on Twitter at TBKZord, and I also write for Heroes Hearth, and I have some cool articles coming out within the next week or two as well. In the next several weeks, I will be doing another designing a battleground article for a new battleground.
Any teaser on this, what this battleground may be? Can you give us the universe?
It's Warcraft.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep designing Warcraft battlegrounds until we
Until there is one.
until we get one. Actually, in game.
What expansion?
Oh gosh, vanilla.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay. I have a guess, but I'm not gonna say it. Look
That
forward to
narrows
see-
it down really far.
I know.
Yeah, that's pretty
There wasn't a whole lot of like vanilla battlegrounds really.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be battleground themed. It could just
That's
be
true.
Silithus.
Yep, you
The
gave it
Gates
away.
of Anchorage.
TBK slipped. We got him. Gave it away. Blast it.
Oh, I like that. I like the idea for Silithus though. That I could see that becoming something pretty cool.
Well, we're going to get out of here. We want to give a special thanks to our patron producer, Ouroboros Sword, for helping support the show. We appreciate it, as always, sir. As well, we're going to give a shout out to our chat room tonight. It's a good chat room. And Wicked Kitten or Mod for always holding things down. Until next time, we will see you all same time, same place next week, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Central. Remember, train your game for Cain gains.
Enough. I shall do no more.
Did I miss a word in there? Train